Hi everyone, Dr. Steph here, and I'm here recording a video regarding an article that just came out. It's all over the internet. Surprising study suggests exercise makes dementia worse. And I wanted to address this because this is going to scare people into thinking that they shouldn't exercise. What the study did was they looked at a bunch of different factors as far as measuring dementia progression. They had people exercising in a group, exercise group for 60 to 90 minutes a session, twice a week in a gym for 4 months, plus home exercises for 1 additional hour. And what they found was in comparing that group to the group that didn't exercise was that it appeared that the exercise group dementia over the course of that time actually either didn't change or progressed slightly. And so some of the conclusions are that perhaps if you have mild to moderate dementia that's been diagnosed and official, you should not be exercising at all. And this is the only study that has come out saying this. I think to make that kind of conclusion off of one study is ridiculous, especially since there are so many other studies that show that exercise actually helps beat back dementia. So we've got various articles that you can look up. These are good research articles. Exercise training increases the size of the hippocampus and improves memory. The hippocampus is the part of the brain that shrinks with dementia and Alzheimer's and causes the loss of short-term memory. Eventually, the damage to the hippocampus can spread to the rest of the brain, and the entire volume of the brain can actually shrink in very severe progressive cases. Exercise has been shown to increase the size of the hippocampus and therefore improve your memory and really effectively slow, stop, or reverse, in some cases, dementia and Alzheimer's, and can actually improve your memory. But I also want to address something really important, and I want to see if I can pop this up here. And that is this fact. First of all, exercise does slow or help with cognitive decline, but too much is not good. Too much, if you exercise for more than 30 minutes, especially if it's an intense form of exercise, you will start to secrete cortisol from your adrenal glands. Cortisol from the adrenal glands is very, very detrimental to dementia brain. Okay, so it's an additional form or source of stress, and stress is terrible for the progression of dementia, Alzheimer's. So what I think happened is in this study, this is part of what I think happened, they had actually people exercising for 90 minutes in some cases. That is way too long. You want to keep the workouts intense, but 30 minutes or less a few times a week, and you will reap the benefits: cardiovascular, cancer prevention, Alzheimer's and dementia prevention, and in some cases improvement. But here's another factor. Cognitive decline is multifactorial. There is no one thing that is going to fix or improve or reverse cognitive decline. And that is why no drug has succeeded yet. In fact, Pfizer has laid off thousands of workers and shut down an entire Alzheimer's research division because they're done. They're done experimenting with Alzheimer's drugs, trying to find the magic bullet. There is absolutely no one magic bullet out there. It is a lot of different things that need to be addressed, and exercise is just one of them. So I'm going to go through the list. This is not even all of the stuff that's on the list, but I want to go through this. So diet is a big factor as far as progression or reversal and remission of cognitive decline. And there's so much that goes into diet as far as the ratio of sugars to proteins to carbs, how you cook your food, how you plan your meals. Dr. Steph's plate rule really is an anti-cognitive decline format, but there's a few other things that we can do specifically for cognitive decline to improve it even further. One other issue is insulin resistance. Alzheimer's dementia, cognitive decline, is a problem of insulin resistance in the brain. And so if that does not get addressed through diet, it does not matter how many times a week you exercise and for how long. If you have sugar issues, you will be more likely to develop progressive cognitive decline and Alzheimer's dementia over time. Sleep is something that has to be addressed. A lot of people that are in early stages, mild to moderate cognitive decline, are experiencing sleep issues, and sleep deprivation, less than 8 hours or more, significantly more than 8 hours, can and will contribute to cognitive decline. So these are things that need to be addressed. Infections. What we're finding is that people with some forms of Alzheimer's dementia actually are dealing with a brain infection. Herpes simplex virus, Epstein-Barr virus, Lyme disease, or other co-infections, yeast or bacterial infections, not even necessarily within the brain, but sometimes within the intestines, that can cause chemicals to slide into the brain via the various nerves that go and connect the gut from the brain. For example, there's a bacteria called Clostridia difficile, which is very common to get after being in a hospital or having used antibiotics. It's something that we actually test for in our office. But Clostridium difficile and yeast secrete toxins that specifically move up the vagus nerve from the gut lining into the brain and cause inflammation and distortion of brain function. So those are things that were not addressed, obviously, in this study. There's going to be no exercise study that's going to be able to address all of these things. Nutrient deficiencies. So there are very specific nutrients that the brain needs in order to replenish, repair, regenerate itself, fend off certain situations, keep inflammation down. There's so much that the brain needs that it's not getting from a lot of different diets. Toxins. So toxins from infections is one, but we have environmental toxins. If you have mold in the house, there's toxicity with the mold itself. As well as other environmental factors such as not eating organic foods, so glyphosate, herbicides, pesticides. I did a whole talk on this, a whole video on this just a little while ago. These things need to be addressed as well. This study on exercise was a large-scale study done in England, and I know that England is a pretty rainy, humid, moist place, and the infrastructure, the buildings, the houses there, I'm pretty sure some of these homes have been there for a few hundred years. And who knows what kind of issues we're dealing with as far as mold toxicity, potentially for some of these people. As long as those factors are still present, once again, you can put somebody through exercise and only address that one factor, and you're still going to have progression of this disease because you're not addressing the other issues. Things that cause inflammation, so autoimmune diseases, food allergies, some of these infections causing inflammation. Hormone imbalances. The balance for hormones are a little different from men to women, but they need to be addressed. So testosterone deficiency in men, it's not uncommon for some of our male patients who've had their testosterone intentionally brought down via medication, for example, for prostate cancer, and then they're complaining for a long time after of memory issues and memory fog and emotional issues and depression because of the testosterone deficiency. And in women, it's very important to assess balance between DHEA hormone, pregnenolone, and progesterone. So those have to be addressed, as well as your cortisol rhythm throughout the day. Genetic markers. There are specific genes that if you have positive tests for those genes, there's sometimes very little you can do if you have genetic markers, very high toxicity, heavy metal toxicity, other factors. If the disease is so progressed, past the point, you're in stage 5, stage 4 dementia, Alzheimer's. These things never even got mentioned in this article. And of course, stress, mental, emotional, physical stress, chronic stress can play a factor, and that's how 90 minutes of high stress exercise causing stress, causing secretion of cortisol, which is your main stress hormone, which causes inflammation to the brain, increases insulin resistance. It's all of this stuff kind of moving together. There's other factors as well that need to be looked at. Alzheimer's dementia is an absolute epidemic in this country, alongside things like diabetes, metabolic syndrome, autoimmune disease. And this is one of the things that we're going to be addressing with some programs in our office here very shortly. So stay tuned, because we're going to be putting on some educational seminars for protocols that have been researched in this country that are 80% or more effective at helping to remiss dementia Alzheimer's symptoms. It's not going to be with everybody, but mild to moderate cases can be helped. This will also be a benefit for people that have Parkinson's and other neurodegenerative disorders. They're just simply having degeneration in a different part of the central nervous system or brain. So stay tuned. I hope you found this helpful. And I just want to make sure that people understand that exercise is actually good for you. It's not a bad thing. But you want to keep your workouts to 30 minutes or less. High intensity training is always recommended. And of course, you can walk every day for up to an hour, but that's very low stress type of exercise. All right, we'll see you soon in an upcoming video, guys. Hope that was good information.